going to begin by asking, I mean, these are obviously real people and they have obviously surviving family members who will see the film. As actors, what sort of pressure does that add to you when you know that people close to these characters are going to go to the cinema and see this film?
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, I think. It's definitely a big challenge to play someone who really existed. And we had the premiere in Manchester last week.
Yeah.
And his two sons were there, and it was such an honorable night, and it was very moving to speak to him and to speak to Mark Trautmann, who is his son, and talk about the life of his father and also him experiencing, the love story of these two characters in the film again, and especially after the tragical things that happen at the end of the film.
Yeah, because I mean, David, this is obviously a very layered role because he's a good guy, but obviously he's got quite sort of dark secrets as well. I mean, there must be a great character to get your teeth stuck into.
Definitely, yeah. It was. I mean, when the director and the producer came up to me and told me about this incredible life story, I was immediately moved by it and fascinated by it, and I didn't know anything about it beforehand, and. Even though I'm a football fan in Germany and I haven't heard of his name before, he's not that well known there. And yeah, we hope the film changes that.
I mean, Margaret too, I mean, she has to give up so much, and obviously she's pursuing sort of love in the face of adversity. I mean, that's, again, a great narrative to undertake.
Absolutely, yeah. I think they're both quite exceptional characters, and they both make very bold life choices that were, against convention. And I think it's really exciting to be able to be given characters that have such a journey and such a sort of narrative arc.
Yeah, because it's so easy, isn't it, in a biopic, when you have the kind of male characters, have the kind of female supporting lead be just that, real just support. But in this instance, it feels like they've given this character so much to play with. She's got real identity and so many nuances as well that you had to tackle as well.
Absolutely. I think, it's about this kind of iconic figure in sporting history, but it's also about, I think, people overcoming, massive prejudices and sort of having their destinies turned on their heads. So that's told through, Bert's journey through, being accepted in England, and then also for Margaret, it's about having, I suppose, her opinions changed by this encounter, which is, so it's about all that, really.
And what was it like working with Marcus on this? Because I gathered, did he spend a week with Bert, sort of speak about, I think obviously sort of 6 years ago or 7 years ago now, and I imagine he must have learned so much about him just in speaking to him. Did you guys, particularly you, David, speak to him about what he learned from that experiences, and was it quite helpful having a director who had met the real man? Of
course, it was very helpful. He spent a week with him in Spain, where he lived at the end, and from those interviews, that's where he based the script on, and he put a lot of these talks in the film, and he also learned about the fact that it was very important for Bert Trautmann that it's not just a film about football, not just a film about the accident that happens to him at the FA Cup final where he breaks his neck and continues to play. It's also, a love story, and it's a film about reconciliation and about him coming to terms with his past.
I mean, it's accidentally sort of good timing, isn't it? I'm going to obviously shoehorn the word Brexit into this because that's all anyone can speak about at the moment. But it feels quite important to celebrate the kind of unification of Europe. It's about two people from different cultures in Europe sort of coming together, and their romance in some ways is sort of emblematic of that notion.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I think this film, if people can come away with something from watching this film, it's to not, have hardened or, I suppose, small-minded, two-dimensional opinions about countries, people, backgrounds. I think this film celebrates acceptance and conversation and openness, which is definitely a narrative that we need now in Europe, here and elsewhere, definitely.
Because, and David, I mean, you were mentioning that you didn't know much about the story before, and I'd heard his name, but I'm a huge football fan. I didn't know he broke his neck in the FA Cup.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, how important is it sometimes, you think, to tell these incredible stories? Because they are sort of quite untold in many ways. Do you feel, is that one of the great responsibilities of your craft, is telling stories to audiences that they probably don't know about but really ought to?
Yeah, I think the best stories are taken from life itself. I think that's what the film really shows. I mean, if you would read a script like that, you you couldn't believe it. I mean, that this actually happened, and also how much the film, how much the story tells you, and about acceptance, about tolerance towards people who are different, and also about constant change. About a person who has been in so different political situations and has been part of this criminal regime, and then him, coming to terms with his own guilt.
So my very final question is just what's next for you both? Have you got any sort of projects lined up that you're excited about?
You're filming at the moment, aren't you?
I'm about to start filming for the first original Netflix production from Germany.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Can you say anything about it yet, or is it still quite early days?
It's quite pretty early days, yeah.
And how about you?
So I have a French project that's actually German-French co-production.
Oh, really?
So it's Arte and Netflix, which will be coming out in the next few months, that I'm doing a bit of press for, which is a French series with a very, very long title, Il était une seconde fois. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't repeat that.
Yeah. There you go.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.